Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're on a bit of a mission, really. We're going to try and give you the ultimate shortcut to understanding the UK's Consumer Rights Act 2015.
The CRA 2015, yeah.
And this isn't just, about what happens when your toaster breaks. The scope of this act is, well, it's huge. We're talking everything from a downloaded movie to the fine print on a rental agreement.
Even reselling concert tickets. It covers so much of modern life.
So our goal is to take this very dense legal text and just boil it down into knowledge you can actually use.
Exactly. And that was the whole point of the Act, really. It was designed to simplify things, to bring a lot of scattered protections under one roof, and, most importantly, to give you clear, powerful remedies when things don't go to plan.
Okay, let's start with the absolute foundation, then. What are we actually protecting? When I buy something, what are the non-negotiable guarantees the law just bakes into that deal?
Right, so we're talking about two main things. First, you have physical goods.
Tangible items, things you can hold.
Exactly. A car, a book, a washing machine. And then you have digital content. So that's data. Things like software, an app, a film you stream.
And the really crucial bit here is that certain quality standards are automatically included. They're not optional extras.
Not at all. There are three core terms. First, and most obviously, goods have to be of satisfactory quality.
Which means what exactly? Just that it works.
It's a bit more than that. It has to be fit for purpose, durable for a reasonable period, and, free from minor defects.
Okay. What's number two?
Second, if the trader described the item, say, in an online listing, the product you get has to match that description.
Right.
And there's a really interesting detail here. If you were shown a sample and given a description, it's not enough for the item to just match the sample. It still has to match the description. The description is king.
That's a good clarification. And what about seeing a model in a shop? If the one I take home from the stockroom is a bit different.
You're protected there too. If the sale was based on a model you saw, the goods have to match that model, unless the salesperson specifically pointed out any differences to you before you bought it.
And this all applies to smart products now too, right? Where it's a mix of physical and digital.
Yes, and this is so important. If you buy, say, a smart thermostat, and the physical unit is fine, but the software is buggy and doesn't work, the law says the entire product doesn't conform to the contract. One digital failure means a total failure.
So we've got this foundation of quality.
Yeah.
But, things do go wrong. So that smart thermostat fails 3 months in. What's the hierarchy of rights I have? How do I enforce this?
Okay, so the law gives you a very clear pathway. First up is the short-term right to reject.
The 30-day window.
That's the one. For the first 30 days, if it's not up to standard, you can just return it for a full refund. It's very straightforward.
But what if I'm outside that window, say, month 4?
Then you move to the next stage. Your primary right is to a repair or a replacement.
And who decides which one? Near them.
You do. The consumer chooses, unless your choice is impossible or just completely disproportionate in cost for the trader. And a repair, by the way, means properly fixing it, making it conform, as the Act says.
Okay, and if that repair doesn't work, or they take forever to do it?
Then you unlock the final level of rights. You can ask for a price reduction, or you can exercise your final right to reject the item for a refund.
Now, you mentioned something before we started, which I think is probably the single most powerful tool for a consumer here. The 6-month rule.
Ah, yes. This is your leverage. It's a game changer.
So break it down for us.
If a fault develops at any point within the first 6 months of you owning the product, the law makes a powerful assumption. It assumes the fault was there on the day you bought it.
So I don't have to prove it was a manufacturing defect. The trader has to prove I broke it.
Precisely. The burden of proof flips entirely onto them. They have to prove the item was fine when they sold it to you. That one rule makes enforcing your rights in that first half year so much easier.
That's huge. Okay, so that's the product itself. But what about the paperwork? We all click agree on endless terms and conditions. How does the Act stop traders from just writing away all these rights in the fine print?
This is part 2 of the Act, and it's your shield against that. The core principle is simple. An unfair term in a consumer contract is not binding on you.
So you can. What, just ignore it?
In essence, yes. The law says a term is unfair if it creates a significant imbalance in rights and obligations against you, the consumer.
Can you give us an example? What would a significant imbalance look like in practice?
Imagine a term that says you have to report any fault within 24 hours of delivery or you lose all your rights.
Right, which is obviously ridiculous.
It's completely unreasonable. It creates a massive imbalance against you and directly contradicts your statutory rights, like the 6-month rule. A court would absolutely strike that down as unfair.
And are there any things that a trader is absolutely forbidden from trying to limit their liability for?
2 ironclad rules. First, they can't exclude their liability for the basic quality standards we just talked about. You can't sign away your right to a product of satisfactory quality.
The second.
And this one is critical. A trader can never exclude or restrict their liability for death or personal injury that results from their negligence. That is an absolute red line.
Let's move into a specific area that, well, it causes a lot of friction for people, the housing market, and letting agents in particular.
Yes, the Act brings some much-needed transparency here. It imposes a core duty on all letting agents to publicize a full list of their fees.
Where do they have to do this? Tucked away in a folder somewhere.
No, it's very specific. They have to display the list clearly in every one of their offices, somewhere you're likely to see it, and also publish it on their website if they have one.
And what information has to be on that list?
It has to be the full fee, inclusive of any tax. And if they can't give an exact figure in advance, they have to explain exactly how the fee is calculated. No more hidden charges.
And I believe there are extra duties for agents in England, right?
There are, yes. They also have to display information showing they're part of a client money protection scheme, which protects your deposit, and a redress scheme for handling complaints.
So there's a proper process if you have a problem.
Yeah.
What's the penalty for an agent who just ignores all this?
The local authorities can step in and issue a fine of up to £5,000. So there are real teeth to this.
Okay, let's tackle one more high-stakes, high-emotion area. Secondary ticket resales. We've all been there, trying to buy a ticket for a sold-out gig.
A bit of a Wild West sometimes, yes. Section 90 of the Act tries to regulate this.
So what information does a reseller have to give me, the buyer?
It's all about clarity. They have to provide enough information for you to identify the specific seat. That means the block, the row, the seat number.
Not just a great view.
No, these specifics. They also have to tell you about any restrictions on the ticket, and crucially, they must disclose the original face value so you know exactly how much of a markup you're paying.
What about the fear that if you resell a ticket, the event organizer will just cancel it or blacklist you?
The Act offers real protection here. An organizer cannot cancel your ticket or blacklist you just because it was resold.
There must be a catch.
There is, but it's a fair one. They can cancel it if, 1, there was a term in the original contract allowing them to, and 2, that term itself was not unfair under the rules we discussed earlier.
So it's a double lock. The term has to exist and it has to be fair.
Exactly. It stops punitive, retaliatory action. And again, breaches of these rules can lead to fines of up to £5,000 per breach.
We have covered a huge amount of ground here, from the basic quality of a physical product all the way through to these really specific high-friction markets like renting and tickets.
And what connects it all is this baseline of power the Act gives you. Knowing these things, that quality is mandatory, that the burden of proof is on the trader for 6 months, that unfair terms are unenforceable, that knowledge is your leverage.
So a final thought for you to take away. The enforcement of all these protections often comes down to regulators like the Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA. Now, Parliament requires the CMA to publish its policy on how it imposes penalties. Given that their powers are the same across all these different areas we've talked about, what subtle signals might those policy statements reveal about which consumer sectors are about to face the sharpest regulatory scrutiny in the next year?
That's a fascinating point. Where they decide to focus their standardized enforcement powers, it tells you a lot. It's like a roadmap to where the market is currently failing consumers the most, a real indicator of what's coming next.